Welcome to episode 18 of the All for Our City podcast. Today I will be talking about All for Our City videos, fans at upcoming matches, Beaury, Reno versus Tacoma, Reno versus Sacramento, Reno versus Portland, and then upcoming matches and the eUSL. Getting into the news, latest news, I used fan-submitted videos to create the first All for Our City video of 2020. For those who don't know what the All for Our City video is, or All for Our City video series is, it's a series where I make videos at the soccer games or at Reno 1868 games, mostly about the fans and just, the games from the supporter sections. So I didn't get that many submissions for video clips, but I still made it work, and then I think it turned out alright. It turned out shorter than normal, but that's fine. And then I'll probably be looking for more fan-submitted footage again on Wednesday. In Reno 1868 news, the team pretty much confirmed that they won't be fans, or that there won't be fans at these next two upcoming matches. They confirmed it when they announced more opportunities for fans to drop off signs for the next two games. So they didn't really put out a statement about it. They just kind of said, hey, come drop off more signs, because we won't have fans. So if you haven't made a poster, you should. You definitely should. There will be more opportunities, obviously, to get that done. In the last game, it was kind of hard to see the posters the fans made. The contrast was too high on the broadcast. It was really, the brightness was really, really crazy. And there was also very few shots of the posters. Right now, the signs sit on top of section 102, at the top of 102. And then I think they just need to be moved at the bottom of 101, and I think they'd be more visible over there. Other news, Beaury won Save of the Month for July. He won it for his save that won the goal of the week. It was a save in the 21st minute in the Sacramento game. I still think it was an incredible save. Now, it has the chance to become the save of the year, so congrats to him. Moving on, Reno 1868 held their first home game of 2020 on Saturday. Reno hosted Tacoma. The match was played without fans, or at least in the stands. There was a nice-sized group of fans watching from outside the stadium. It seems like there were 15 or so supporters doing that. Going into this game, Reno was looking to extend their lead in first place in Group A. Tacoma was looking to dethrone Reno from that top spot. Reno was 2-0-1 all-time versus Tacoma coming into this match. I thought it was going to be a battle of the keepers, just based on some of the stats I was looking at for both teams, and both teams coming off of clean sheets. So yeah, both teams were coming off of clean sheets. Both teams were looking solid in net leading into this match. Benjamin Kikanovic scored the first goal for Reno. It's his first pro goal, so congratulations to him. The ball was thrown into play. Corey Herzog headed it away from the keeper. Taylor Mueller from Tacoma failed to clear the ball. He tried to clear it with a header. He failed to do that. The ball ended up in front of Benjamin Kikanovic. He put it in the back of the net. That goal comes down to Tacoma failing to clear the ball and Reno just capitalizing on that. Tacoma answered 4 minutes later. Daniel Robles, I think that's how you say his name, Robles, of Tacoma took the ball down the pitch unchallenged. He had enough space in the box to take a shot. The shot ended up in the back of Reno's net. Tony Alfaro was the defender on that play for Reno. He just never really challenged for the ball. He gave him plenty of space. The big issue on the play for Reno is that the defender never challenged for the ball. That's a huge issue. We can't be doing that, otherwise everybody's just going to score on us. In the 32nd minute, Reno got a penalty kick. I'm not really going to argue if it was a penalty or not. The fact is that it's the same call we saw in Portland. So in this situation, a penalty will more than likely be called, I think. The keeper challenged for the ball inside the box. The keeper tripped up the player, or the Reno player, who was headed towards the ball, and then a penalty kick was called because they called it a foul. In this case, the keeper got a yellow. Corey Herzog took the shot. The keeper made the initial save on the penalty kick, but he couldn't control it. It like bounced down and went over him, and then Corey got the goal. And Corey actually ended up getting a yellow card after the play because after the goal, they kind of got in each other's face and they said some things and there was some gestures and stuff. So, yeah, so that happened. And then there was a total of 3 yellow cards in the first half, 2 for Tacoma and 1 for Reno, all coming within 10 minutes of each other, all between, like, I think the 31st minute or whatever when the keeper got one, and then Corey got one in, like, the 32nd minute, and then in the 40th minute, someone from Tacoma, another person from Tacoma got a yellow card. The only event that really happened in the second half was in the 64th minute. Tacoma was awarded a penalty kick. With this one, the Reno defender challenged for the ball inside the box. The Tacoma defender tumbled over the defender, or the Tacoma player tumbled over the Reno defender. I didn't like this call because the defender did touch the ball, before he touched the attacking player. Eric De La Cerda made the save for Reno, which is like incredible that he was able to save that shot. It was good on him to figure out where it was going and all that. I thought it was going to be a goal. I thought Tacoma was going to tie the game. I thought all the momentum was going to turn into Tacoma's favor. I'm glad he made the save. By making the save, he pretty much put the game away, securing a win for Reno. And then there were 2 yellow cards in the second half, both for Reno. Reno is accumulating a lot of yellow cards so far this season. They need to kind of stop and slow down, otherwise they might end up with some issues later on with yellow card accumulations. Reno did a lot right in this match. Reno created chances and kept up the energy. The goalkeeping for Reno was solid again. This did end up being a battle of the keepers like I thought it was going to be. Not as much, but it did end up being that in the end. Both keepers were challenged with a penalty kick. Only Eric De La Cerda kept the ball out. At the end of the day, the game came down to those 2 penalty kicks. One gave Reno the lead, which eventually ended up in Reno winning the match. The other was a chance for Tacoma to tie the game and maybe walk away with some points. If they would have scored that second, if Tacoma would have scored that penalty kick, it would have been a huge blow to Reno. It could have given them the momentum to go on to win the match. Instead, Eric De La Cerda made the save. Reno got the win. Reno got the 3 points and extended their winning streak to 3 games. Looking at other Group A results, Sacramento Republic beat Portland Timbers 2. Sacramento won that game 1-0, which is like they're the only team not to beat Portland by like at least 3 goals. Both Reno and Tacoma scored 4 goals on Portland. That was the only other game that Group A played this last week. Looking at Group A standings, Reno 1868 FC sits in first with 12 points in 5 games. Sacramento Republic FC sits in second with 9 points in 6 games. Tacoma Defiance sits in third with 7 points in 6 games. Portland Timbers 2 sit in last with 0 points in 5 games. Yeah, the question I'm asking is that is it too early to say that Portland won't make the playoffs? I mean, 0 points in 5 games. I think we're already that's pretty much a third of return to play, and they haven't won a game yet. So, or haven't even been able to tie a game yet. So I don't think that they'll even come close to making the playoffs. Um, Looking at the power rankings for Week 7. Reno moved up to 7th. That's one up from last week. Sacramento sits in 9th. That's no change from last week. Tacoma moved up to 24th. That's 3 spots higher than they were last week. And then Portland dropped back into 35th, which is last place. Portland is one of 5 teams, including Las Vegas, that still doesn't have a win yet. Portland is the only team to still not have a win or draw yet this season. Looking into game previews now. Reno has 2 games upcoming this week. Both will be played in Reno. On Wednesday, Reno will take on Sacramento. This is game 2 of the Donner Pass Derby. Reno is 5-2-2 all time versus Sacramento. Reno already played Sacramento once this season. Reno lost that game 1-0. Sacramento scored on a penalty kick in extra time to win that one. Kickoff for this game is set for 7:30 p.m. Reno has not lost a game since that one back in Sacramento. Reno took their game to a whole new level after that game. Reno fixed what was going wrong. Reno has just been playing a lot better since then. To win this match, Reno needs to not fall back in how they played in Sacramento. I don't think they'll do that, but it is a possibility. Fatigue may become a factor in this game, like it was in Las Vegas. Reno has only had 3 days to recover from their last match. If Reno starts showing fatigue later in the game, like they did in Vegas, and stop pushing the pace, Sacramento will take advantage of that. They are a better team than Las Vegas. They do have a better chance of coming back into the game or taking control of the game if Reno does show signs of fatigue. Sacramento might also show signs of fatigue as well. They did just play on Saturday too. They have probably had less time to rest than Reno, as they have had to travel back to Sacramento from Portland and are going to have to travel from Sacramento to Reno. So both teams will probably show signs of fatigue. The team that can capitalize on that will win the game probably. Getting into key players for this game, for Reno, Cristiano Francois. He didn't make as much of an impact in the last game. He'll probably be looking to do better in this game. He might be using how he played in Sacramento as motivation for this game. Corey Herzog, so far he's been pretty quiet on the offensive end of things. He did score in the last match. I'm looking for him to do more I'm looking for him to do more in this match. He did score in the last match. I'm looking for him to do more moving forward, especially after the emotion he showed after scoring that penalty kick. Eric De La Cerda, he has been on fire. He started in the last 3 games. The only reason I would see him not playing in this game on Wednesday is so he can rest, but why not wait until the next game versus Portland to give him rest? We dominated Portland last time, and Portland is the lesser of these 2 opponents. So I think if he's going to get rest, he's going to get rest in the Portland game. In 3 games, he has had 15 saves and only let in 2 goals. Looking at key players for Sacramento, Darius Formella, he's their top scorer. He has 2 goals in 5 games. He has taken 9 shots with 5 on target. Cameron Iowasa, I think that's how you say his name. He only has 1 goal. He has taken 10 shots and only had 4 on target, and he has had 124 passes. I know when they were in Sacramento, they talked about him a lot, or the commentators talked about him a lot. Adam Grinwiz. Adam Grinwiz, I think. That's how you say that. He was in net last time. He seems to be the go-to guy for Sacramento. He has conceded 5 goals and only saved 8 shots. His success rate is only 61.5%. He will have to step up his game if they want to win on Wednesday. The starting 11 should be the same on Saturday, or that it was on Saturday. It's been the same starting 11 for the last 3 games, so I think it won't change for this one. The second game Reno will be playing this week is against Portland. That game is to be played this Saturday in Reno. The game will be the last home game of this 3-game homestand. Reno is 7-1-1 versus Portland all time. Reno just played Portland back on July 29th. It might have been 3 games ago now, but it was only like 2-ish weeks ago. Reno won that match 4-1. Reno was in control of that match the whole time. Kickoff is set for this match at 7:30. The way Reno won the last match versus Portland and the way Reno has been playing makes me think that Portland can't keep up. I don't think Portland will win this match, even if it's a close match. I don't think it will be a close match, though. I think Reno will win by at least 2 goals. At this point, I don't think Reno is in danger of losing this match. I know I'm writing Portland off a little bit early, but they didn't really play competitively in the last match. Yes, they scored a goal. Yes, they were building up momentum at that point, but it didn't go anywhere. Portland is still looking for their first win and haven't managed to even tie a game. Portland has nothing going for them going into this match. If Reno loses to Sacramento, then it will be worse for Portland because Reno will have that motivation. Reno will be really motivated like they were in the last game they played with Portland. If Reno beats Sacramento, the game will become more of a where Reno might rest some of its players who need it. To win this game, Reno basically just has to go out there and just play how they did last time. At this point, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't do that. Key players for this game for Reno, it's mostly the same as the game versus Sacramento. Cristiano Francois and Corey Herzog, but instead of Eric De La Cerda, I think Ben Beaury will be in net. Ben Beaury did well last time in Sacramento. I think the team might want to give Eric De La Cerda a rest. Also, this is possibly the best opportunity to play Ben Beaury to make sure he doesn't get rusty sitting on the bench all season and then not be ready when the team needs him. For Portland, Hunter Sloot, I think that's how you say his name. I don't know how to say his last name, but he's faced 32 shots and he's allowed 13 goals. And then Max Ornstill, he has had 12 clearances, he has had 1 shot, and has had 169 passes. And then Thomas Kanenchi, I don't know. He has had 1 goal and 1 appearance, and he is one of only 2 Portland players to have scored a goal in 2020. It was really hard for me to find key players for Portland as they only have 2 guys who have scored, and their goalkeeping has just been terrible. Moving on to the player of the week. The player of the week this week is Eric De La Cerda. He stopped a penalty kick, and that's the main reason why I chose him, but he has been on fire lately. He's been playing at an amazing level in net, and he's the main reason I think Reno has been able to win these last 3 games. Moving on to the tweet of the week. This week's tweet comes from Brenrick Rangers, Nevada. The tweet was just talking about how the 2 supporter groups for Reno were united in cheering on Reno from outside of the stadium. It's not that often that the Battleborn Brigade and the Douglas Alley Renegades are together. The last time I can remember that the two groups came together was back in 2018 before the Douglas Alley Renegades split off. There are people who are members of both groups, but still, uniting to cheer on the team I think is a good thing, and it shows that the groups aren't really like hostile towards each other. Looking at upcoming games, Reno plays Sacramento and Portland this week. I've already talked about that. Then Reno will head to San Diego. Reno 1868 FC will be back in Reno following that trip to San Diego to take on Phoenix, followed by another game against Portland. This week's Group A games, Sacramento at Reno. Then Sacramento takes on Tacoma at home. Tacoma heads to Las Vegas following the match in Sacramento. Tacoma hasn't played a home match since July 18th and won't again until September 27th. Portland only has the game in Reno this week. Looking at other things, other leagues, the eUSL. This week is the quarterfinals for the eUSL playoffs, both for the Xbox and PlayStation leagues. Only 8 teams remain in the PlayStation and Xbox leagues. The big upset was the 8th seed in the West beat the 1st seed in the East in the PlayStation playoffs. Yeah, give them a follow on Twitter, and that'll keep you up to date on everything that's going on. I know they stream all the games on Twitch, so yeah, give that a go and watch them. But yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and then don't forget to like and subscribe.